Today I'm going to be going over how to build a killer Sob Rock inspired pedalboard for $500. I posted a poll to my Instagram story and the consensus was that you guys wanted to see multiple different videos at different budgets. So I'm going to be starting off with $500 as a budget for today's episode. Before we get into the pedals that I suggest you guys get, I'm going to go over some criteria and just general information and guidelines around today's video. So the first rule I've already mentioned, I am sticking with a budget of $500, which is roughly 650 Canadian. I'm Canadian, so I'm just going to be looking in my own currency and doing the conversions for you guys. The second guideline is that when you're looking to build a board, especially with a budget in mind, looking at the used market is honestly the best way to go. You can get some incredible deals on gently used gear and save yourself a lot of money that can add up into savings that equal another pedal. So today I'm going to be only looking at used gear. Third, I have to find these pedals online on Reverb right now and make them fit within the budget. This isn't just going to be like, oh, one time on Reverb I saw one go for about this. No, I actually have to go and find them and make them all fit in the budget, something you could go out and buy right now, today. Next is that I have to have a minimum of 5 pedals, and 5 is going to be my target that I stick with. At 5 pedals, you can cover a wide range of sounds, but also with $500 budget, you still will be able to get some great gear as well. So 5 pedals is the number that I have to hit. And lastly, we are not looking at a power supply, a physical pedal board, or patch cables for this build. That is just going to be an additional cost you would have to incur in order to build this pedal board. As well, with the actual pedals that I'm looking at, we're not going to be taking the shipping costs into consideration. That is just a cost that I'm going to say you'd have to eat. The $500 budget is strictly for the pedals themselves. With the criteria and guidelines around this video out of the way, the last thing I wanted to say is that I personally am a big fan of saving up and buying right once over going out and buying a bunch of cheaper pedals that are made in China and building a board immediately. I highly suggest and recommend that you guys even take your time if you want and save up and buy one pedal at a time to build a board like this or any other board you are looking at. In the long run, you're going to be better off than just buying a bunch of stuff that honestly isn't very good and that you're not going to be that happy with to have now. Patience is key, so I highly suggest if you guys are looking at building a board like this, save up and do it right once. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's get into the board build. I've done my research and we're going to start off with the drive section. During the Sob Rock tour, John Mayer's drive section was Tube Screamer, which was his TS10, into his Klon Centaur. So we are going to tackle the drive section first, starting off with the Tube Screamer sound. Now, one really awesome Tube Screamer style pedal that I would recommend for this budget is the Earthquaker Devices Plumes. I own the Palisades, which is essentially the base Plumes pedal, just with a bunch of different options and some extra stages. But the base Tube Screamer sound is truly fantastic. I found a Plumes for $120 Canadian, so we are going to be throwing that on the board build and adding that to our total. Now we have to move on to the Klon Centaur style pedal. And I know Klon clones can be a bit of a hot debate. I'm just giving you guys my personal opinion and advice as someone who owns a Klon Centaur as to what version and clone of pedal I think would be best and what I would personally buy at this budget level. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be immediately thinking of the Electro-Harmonic Soul Food as a good Klon clone option for this video. And at least in my opinion, someone who owns, again, a real Centaur, the Soul Food is not a good clone at all. I don't think it sounds really anything like a clone, to be honest. I just can't recommend that pedal. I'm always a big advocate of just saving up and spending a little bit more money over the Soul Food to get a way better clone, and that is exactly what I'm recommending in this video. One killer clone style pedal that I'm going to recommend for you guys in this video is the Way Huge Conspiracy Theory. At 150 Canadian used, it's about $50 cheaper than a J-Rocket Archer, and it's a great sounding pedal. So this is what we're going to go with for our Klon clone for this video. Definitely a way better option in my opinion than a Soul Food or a lot of other Klon clones out there. So now we have covered the drive section with the Earthquaker Plumes and the Way Huge Conspiracy Theory. The next effect that we're going to be covering for the Sob Rock era is arguably one of the most important ones, and that is a chorus. John used chorus a ton during the tour, especially for Last Train Home and Shot in the Dark, two awesome songs off the record. Chorus is incredibly important. Now, I am a massive fan of Way Huge pedals. If you guys have been following me on Instagram and just the channel, you guys would know this, but it's for a very good reason. They sound fantastic. I've owned the Mark II Blue Hippo, and I more recently got a Mark I Blue Hippo, which is an utter grail pedal of mine. And the Blue Hippo chorus sound is, honestly, it's a bit of its own thing. It's like a CE2, but the chorus has more presence and sparkle to it almost, if that makes sense at all. Also, the controls have a lot more of a range compared to a standard CE2. But honestly, I prefer the chorus sound of the Blue Hippo over a CE2. I've actually recently, just for fun, shot out my vintage Blue Hippo with my vintage CE2, and I definitely prefer the way the Blue Hippo sounds, but it nails those 80s chorus sounds without a doubt. So we're going to go with the Mark III Blue Hippo as my chorus pedal recommendation for you guys. Now, I have found some used Mark III Blue Hippos for a little less than 170 Canadian. I found one right here for 164 Canadian, so that is what we are going to go with. So now we have covered the drive section as well as added chorus to our Sob Rock inspired pedalboard. This next effect is honestly rather important no matter what era of John Mayer sound you are looking at, and that has to do with delay. Now, during the Sob Rock era, John primarily used two different kinds of delays. He used the Providence Delay 80s, which was more of an echo analog delay, and then he used the Providence Chrono Delay, which was a digital delay with an awesome tap tempo function. Now, obviously, fitting two different delay pedals onto this pedal board isn't really going to work with the budget we have in mind, but I think I found a really good solution with the JHS 3 Series delay. With 800 milliseconds of total delay time, and more importantly, a switch to choose between analog and digital delay sounds, the 3 Series delay I think is a fantastic option, especially at this price point. I personally don't really think there's going to be anything better to fit in this range, especially to cover the Chrono Delay sounds with the digital mode and the Providence Delay 80s sounds with the analog mode. I just think that's fantastic. And after looking on Reverb, I found a 3 Series delay for under $90 Canadian, which is honestly just ridiculous. 88 bucks here is the cheapest one I've been able to find today, so that is what we're going to go with and add it to our board. So we have covered the drive section, we've added a chorus pedal, and now a delay pedal to our pedal board. Our total up until this point with 4 out of 5 pedals is 525 about Canadian out of 650, or just about $405 US out of our total of 500. So we have a decent bit left in our budget to work with for the 5th pedal. Now, if I'm being honest, at this point with these 4 pedals, I've been extremely happy with the options I've given you guys. I think all of these pedals are great sounding pedals that you honestly would never really need to upgrade, and I haven't sacrificed the sound or quality in order to stick with this budget. So everything's gone great so far, but for this 5th pedal, I've struggled a little bit with what to recommend at this point. I think all the basics of a Sob Rock inspired pedalboard have been covered. Now, the last pedal, I had some liberty with what option I wanted to add. Now, one style pedal that's always discussed when it comes to John Mayer's sound is the clean boost. And I found a mini Keeley Katana on Reverb for about 95 Canadian, which would put us 30 Canadian or about $23 US under budget. And honestly, guys, I just recommend you go with Keeley Electronics for this. They're the ones who created the original Katana, which is the one that everyone wants. And the mini Katana honestly sounds fantastic. And at this point here, we'd actually would come in under budget. With that said, ending under budget, I did try to find a Mark III Octopus that would fit in as the 5th pedal, but unfortunately I could not find one to fit within our budget, so the clean boost in the Keeley Katana Mini is what I went with. Now here is the final mock-up of the pedal board for you guys in signal chain order that I would recommend for a Sob Rock inspired pedal board for under the budget of $500 US. You start off with the Keeley Katana Mini, the Earthquaker Devices Plumes, followed by the Way Huge Conspiracy Theory and the Way Huge Blue Hippo Mark III, finally ending off with the JHS 3 Series delay. And this pedal board, again, I am extremely happy with. I think for this budget, this is a fantastic pedal board that, again, Honestly, I can't really see you ever really needing to upgrade. Maybe the delay to get one with a tap tempo delay, or adding a second delay eventually so you could cover a digital and analog sounding delays. But honestly, these pedals are all going to be fantastic and will have a lot of longevity in your rig. I do have some honorable mentions that I wanted to throw in that didn't make the cut of what I recommended, but just to give you guys a different option than what I did recommend. The first honorable mention is the JHS 3 Series Tube Screamer. It's the latest 3 Series pedal released by Josh Scott, and you can find this for about the same price or even a little less than an Earthquaker Devices Plumes. The second honorable mention is the Wampler Tumnus Mini. Again, you can find one for around the same price as the Way Huge Conspiracy Theory. I just prefer the Way Huge Conspiracy Theory, and that's why I recommended it. The third honorable mention is the JHS Prestige Boost pedal. You could fit this in with the budget that we had left over from the Katana Mini. I just recommended the Katana Mini, but either of these clean boost pedals are going to do the job just perfectly. And the last honorable mention is something that isn't a direct substitute for one of the options I gave in the video, but I went with the assumption that you'd be using an amp that has built-in reverb. If you don't, the Wampler Mini Spring Reverb could be another option you could throw in instead of the ones that I listed, because reverb, even just slight amp reverb, is rather important in getting that overall sound. So that is one last honorable mention that could have made it into today's video, but I just assumed any amp that you use would probably have a reverb built into it. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video and want me to make more like this for different eras like Continuum and Where the Light Is, for example, please let me know by smashing that like button and leaving a comment down below. It's the only way that I'm going to know that you guys want to see more videos like this, so please do let me know and I can make more. Or if you guys want to see one for a budget of like $1,000 for the Sob Rock era as well as a sequel to this video, please let me know, because it's the only way I'm going to know to make that video for you guys. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope this video helped you guys out. It was really fun to make, actually, and go through and find pedals in today essentially that would fit within this budget and that I'd be really happy with. So it would be fun to make more videos, but again, you guys just gotta let me know. So until the next one, you guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Anyway, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you like what you see.